All right. Well, next guest, really excited to have him on, Mr. Sam Jellinek. He is the Iron Pigs play-by-play, good friend of mine, and I am, super happy to have you on and appreciate you taking the time out of your day to have to speak to us. So thanks again, Sam.
Yeah, no, absolutely, guys. Happy to be here. And the season ended for us 3 weeks ago, so I haven't had a chance to, just speak ad nauseum for like 3 weeks. So it's kind of nice that I get free reign.
Yeah. Yeah. No, speak about whatever you want, but I mean, first and foremost, the Phillies being in the position they are now, being of a part of the organization. How are you feeling? I know you're a huge Phillies fan too, so it's just being able to work for the organization and being a fan of the organization has got to be a great feeling in general.
Yeah, no, I mean, coming back home first and foremost was, just a really special thing that, I can't remember if we ever went to, I know we went to Trenton Thunder games growing up together, Ben. I don't know if we ever went to a Pigs game together,
I
but,
don't think so.
so, I ended up going to a few Pigs games before I graduated high school. So I was kind of familiar with the stadium and obviously familiar just with the Phillies in general, being a huge Phillies fan. So getting a chance to come back here and be a part of this and, you know, fandom aside, you just don't get that kind of opportunity too often, doesn't align like that too often in the sports world working in it. I've bounced all over the place, basically crisscrossing the country. So to have everything literally stars come together for this has been fantastic. And then, yeah, being a Phils fan has made it definitely sweeter. That I care about the guys there, both at the major league and the minor league level, and being able to see the success that they have and kind of have a very small, just be around it and be a fly on the wall for it has been unbelievably cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
I mean, I at the end of the day, for me, the big difference now between like when I was younger, being a fan of the Phillies is, now you're just a fan of the people within the organization, and that you want to see them have success just because, I spend way too much time with them and they spend way too much time with me, and the players just on a day-to-day basis that you want them to have success because they're good guys. And that's kind of what everybody loves about the Phillies right now, which is wild, is that they're a lovable cast of characters. And I can attest to that personally. They are as genuinely as nice and humble and just kind of awesome to be around. That good vibes is real.
Yeah, and I think you had a tweet the other day too, just kind of that a lot of that just runs. I mean, you see, I hate to say it as being a Mets fan, but you see the team is just having a great time
Yeah.
on the field, just a great time. And you said it kind of runs down from the top, and you see that in AAA also.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things I was scared of. This was my first year being at AAA at any level higher than single A. And the big difference is that you got guys coming to and from the major league level. And you never know what it's going to be like. For me, the first time you're going to have to interact with somebody who got demoted from the major league level, because nobody wants to be playing at AAA and nobody wants to be there. So the first time you have to interact with that, it's always kind of can you ask about it? How are guys receptive to talking about it? Things like that. And to a player, every single guy that we had go up and down, be it Bailey Falter, Jake Cave, the bullpen guys, Junior Marte, Luis Ortiz, Andrew Bellotti, when they would go up and down, they were so unbelievably professional about it and also more than willing to be open about talking about their experience. I talked with Jake Cave a lot about his season, about and Derek Hall, about the fact that they got squeezed out of the roster at times, not because they were necessarily playing poorly, but it was just it just kind of was what it was. For Derek, it was when Bryce Harper came back and was playing first base. It was Bryce Harper's going to play first instead of you. Sorry. And then for Jake, it was when Bryce Harper came back and was going to DH. Cave wasn't needed anymore. And they both said, we understand it and we're just going to be ready for when we have to go up again. Same thing for Cody Clemens as well. And they would all come back down to AAA and they just raked. And they, did it with, aplomb and did it with smiles on their faces. And the fact that they were willing to accept that kind of assignment in stride and be as open and honest and just day to day, not mope about it, was one of the coolest things that I saw. And I think that goes back to the buy-in that the entire organization has gotten. And that's that it's such a fun group to be a part of that you don't want to risk not being a part of it by being a sour bus.
Wow. That's really cool. And, I know growing up that I think the Philly, being like a Phillies broadcaster, I feel like that was always your dream job. So to be this, to be where you are, I mean, just congratulations. And, obviously I certainly hope that you continue to, move forward with that.
Yeah, no, it's certainly close to a dream come true. Not there yet.
Yeah,
Don't want to be in the minors forever, just like the players. But
sure.
it's genuinely, everything that you want. And you know, being a Phillies fan growing up and idolizing, Harry Callis and everything that he meant to the organization and to the people, and to see how he's still so revered around the entire organization is very cool. And they care about what we do, and the players also, you know, are very receptive and open to understanding what it is I try to do as my job, and how they can help me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just wanted to ask because obviously now you're at the highest level of broadcasting that you've ever been at.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe not necessarily like a whole background, but I know you went to Syracuse, which is an amazing top of the line broadcasting school. But then just a little bit after Syracuse, your journey, like the players, right? You have to go start at the bottom and kind of work your way up. And I just didn't know where you started and kind of where you came along to end up here, and just the differences between maybe like competition level or, just what you see around the league.
Yeah, so thanks for giving me a chance to brag. Yeah, Syracuse, pretty dang awesome. But no, really, I tell anybody who's interested in broadcasting, go to any school you can, and you'll do just fine. But for me, it honestly starts when you're in school, not so much the schooling itself, but I worked in summer college baseball my sophomore and junior years. So that's like the Cape Cod League.
Yeah.
I didn't do the Cape. I did the Northwoods and Perfect Game Collegiate League.
Okay.
And that's just getting reps and trying to figure out what the hell you're doing on air. And
Yeah.
you got like 5 people listening, and thank God for that, because the amount of mistakes that you end up making. So I did summer college ball junior or sophomore junior year. My senior year of college was when the ACC network kind of began to be a thing. So I lucked into that and got to do some stuff with the ACC network while I was still in school. So that was fun. Mostly Olympic sports stuff, but just getting to be on air was awesome. So then I graduated and went straight into independent baseball. So that was the Frontier League out in the Midwest, which has now expanded wildly to the East Coast. But that was with the Evansville Otters. Spent a summer there. So that was indie ball. And that's the other thing I tell young broadcasters and just fans in general. Indie ball is awesome. If you ever have a chance to go and experience it. It's, I had no clue what it was when I was getting into it. And as the broadcaster, you wear a lot of different hats and stuff. But that indie ball is still kind of the last wild west frontier of baseball that's left. There's kind of like no rules about it. So it was very fun. And I saw some great players, guys who were former first round picks to guys who would go on to have major league debuts, which was, really awesome. So I went from there to broadcasting Division II sports down in North Carolina. That was fall 2018. Was there fall 2018 through spring 2019. And then I left for my first stint with the Delmarva Shorebirds, who are the single A affiliate of the Orioles down by Ocean City, Maryland. Was the assistant broadcaster there. So just like, for for the Mets, you got on the radio side Howie Rose and now Keith Rad. Basically
Yeah.
same thing. I was the Keith Rad to the Howie Rose there. So spent a season there. Moved up to New York during the off season. Started broadcasting for Colgate University, doing mishmash of everything, mostly hockey though. Then February 2020 went to broadcast for the Pirates High A affiliate down in Bradenton, Florida. Was there for 3 weeks, and then COVID happened, and we all got canned. Uh, so that was fun. And basically, once COVID hit, for us working in sports, everybody was out of job. It was just kind of like, well, until sports comes back, you're kind of screwed. And I got lucky because Colgate ended up playing a hockey season in winter of 21. So I at least had some games to call. When baseball came back on the minor league side in 2021, I returned to Delmarva as their lead broadcaster because the prior guy had left. So a chance to be closer to home. Bradenton also wanted to cut my pay 50%. So I told them to scram. So I ended up back in Delmarva as the lead broadcaster there. Did the whole flip flop between there and Colgate between the fall and spring seasons for 2021 and 2022, and then was gearing up to return there this year when the broadcaster for the Iron Pigs actually got a job with the Mets.
Right.
Pat McCarthy, Tom McCarthy's kid, got a job in the Mets radio booth. So it opened up. I shot the Pigs an email and said, "Hey, I'm local. I used to go to games, and I think I got the experience necessary here." And they believed my charade, so here I am.
Wow.
That's the very short. That's the short version.
Yeah. No, I don't know. And when you were in Delmarva, not to just touch on the one part, but I know you saw some great, debuts of some really talented players. I know Rutschman, I think you were there with his debut. I don't know, Gunner too, but that was probably pretty cool.
I got blessed when I was in Delmarva, the level of talent that I got to see. 2019 was pitching staff led by Grayson Rodriguez. He was just, in addition to being a frontline starter, phenomenal dude, just very down to earth. Had a lot of great conversations about pitching with him. But you had Grayson, who was fronting that rotation. Adley joined us in August of that summer. I'm trying to think any guys who have had big major league impacts. There were some fringe guys like Nick Vespi, little reliever. Felix Bautista actually joined us that summer. So that's a wild story. Felix joined us late that summer around the same time as Adley, out of nowhere. I mean, so in minor league baseball, when a guy is signed out of international, especially when they're signed at 16, that's the height and weight that's inputted there basically stays forever until somebody cares to update it. So Felix's height and weight was still listed at 6'5", 190. By this point, this is 2019, he was like 6'8", 250.
Oh my gosh.
Dude was slinging 100. And we're like, where the hell did he come from? I mean, dude wasn't on any prospect lists. Nobody had even heard of the man. And just throwing bullets. So he was our closer, and that was just disgusting. That 2019 team was a lot of fun. Had some really good players on it, and then 21. The infield to start that year was actually Gunnar Henderson and Jordan Westberg up the middle at shortstop and second, which was nuts. And then also on that infield was Daryl Hernandez, who was traded to the A's for Colt Irvin. Daryl, I still contend, is going to be a very quality major league player. He's one of my favorite guys we've had down there. So that was the start of the year. We had those three. By the end of the year, that was the 2021 draft class. So that was Colton Cowser, Connor Norby. Who else do we have by the end of the year? Oh, Kobe Mayo also joined by the end of the year. So that was another fantastic infield and lineup that just absolutely raked. And then in 22, to start the year, I'm trying to think, who do we have to start the year last year? We weren't good last year, I can tell you that much. It was kind of the start of the Latin American project for the Orioles that year. So we weren't very good, but then by the end of the year, we got an infusion of talent that was at least fun. So that was Jackson Holiday. Getting him was just, he's the best way I can put it, just watching him play on a day in, day out basis, is he was 18 years old at that point, thrust into single A baseball, and he just didn't look out of place. It's not just that he didn't look out of place. It looked like, they always talk about, is the game sped up on him, or is he controlling the game? His internal clock must move at a snail's pace, because it's just like everything just looks like it's waiting. The game looks like it waits for Jackson to happen. Is the best way to put it. I've never seen such good body control at the plate, and that works so well for him because he's got lightning quick hands and hips, and just watching him was crazy. So yeah, we had him to cap off the year, and that was really, really cool.
Dang. Yeah, that's insane, especially because a lot of those guys that you just brought up have made it to the majors now.
Yep.
So it must be cool for you to be like, wow, I met this guy, and maybe not a lot of people knew about them, and now they're on a 100-win team, making it to the playoffs and making a name for themselves. So it's got to be really cool.
Yeah, and for me, the thing that I going into it, and especially a fan's perspective, but even me when I got into the business, that I thought it was going to be cool to like know these guys because they're putting up awesome numbers or helping teams win, or you take pride in like that kind of thing. I end up taking more pride in you get to know them like on a very personal level, their families, you talk to them every day, and you just want them to have success because calling them a friend is like way too strong. But it's just like how you want any one of your friends or somebody to have success. It's because of that, because they're good people and you like to see good people have success. So that's the really. Oh, I actually forgot about one very major piece from last year. Heston Kjerstad. That was another one. Obviously, he came through. Getting to see his debut was wild, and then he hit 480 over a month and was gone.
Yeah.
So, but you end up rooting for those guys' success because you just want good people to find their way in the world. And seeing them, have their awesome moments. Like this year for us, the big one for the Iron Pigs was Weston Wilson, going up, having his debut. And yeah, it was great because, he homers for the Phillies, and the Phillies got a win that day, and there's Lorenzen no-hitter. But also Weston learning his journey, his story over the entire year. Dude has grinded for everything and could not be more humble, more caring. He's the guy I constantly had to go to the entire year as far as media wanted to talk to him, and he would always do it. And he never, big leagued me or anything like that. Even when he came back, he didn't big league me. So, you end up rooting for them from the standpoint of they're just great dudes, and watching them have successes is fun.
Yeah, and I caught a lot of that interview you did with Weston Wilson. It was a great interview, by the way. It was really cool to hear his story, and you're in such a unique position too, because you get to see the guys in their highest of highs and their lowest of lows. So it's like behind the scenes, we can only imagine, oh, this guy went 0 for 4 and he struck out, and he's on a 10-game hitless streak or something like that. And it's like I can only imagine what they're going through, whereas like you get to see them every day after that and really get to know what their emotions are like and what kind of person they are. So it's really cool to hear, behind the scenes what a guy went through, struggled through, and then to get that success, even if it was for a handful of games. And you see him in the dugout now, so it's really cool to see him. He's not on the roster, but he's still there experiencing it, and it's got to be so cool for him.
And that's the wild thing. You mentioned him just being in the dugout. When I would talk to him about, he was a minor league free agent, and a lot of times for guys who are minor league free agents who haven't made their major league debut, you're going to sign with a team that's going to give you your best shot to get to the big leagues. And, signing with a contending team with an infield and outfield that the Phillies have, Weston thought, I thought I could still make my way into the 40-man roster. But in my head, I'm thinking, man, this guy's he's got some stones to believe that. I mean, he was right, but he said he wanted to do it because he just wants the atmosphere right now. He's like, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of something special. And it's been just crazy to see him get to be a part of it and how much he enjoys it in the dugout, how much the guys love him, how much he loves those guys. And like it's actually really fun. I was at the game last night, so watching Jake Cave finally get a playoff at bat, I was so happy for him because I knew how much it meant for him to finally get a chance in the postseason. And then I also knew as soon as that ball went in the gap, I'm like he's gonna try for a triple. It does not matter what happens, he's gonna go for 3. And as soon as he went around second, I'm like, yep, that's just he plays such an unhinged style of baseball. It's very funny. He's chaos incarnate sometimes, like very, very hectic. But yeah, just getting to know the guys like that is, to me so important as a part of my job. Just getting people to understand that, these are humans. And it's really easy to boo or get down on those guys. But, understanding their stories goes a long way. Great example this year for us was, and I had seen him actually when I was with Delmarva, former top 100 prospect, Hans Kraus. And Hans, I'd seen him in 2019. He was awesome, but he's gone through a ton of injuries. And to begin this year, he was dealing with some more. And I was talking to him about it. And he said, we just can't figure out what it is. And basically what would happen is he would have these outings on the bullpen where he would retire like the first 2 hitters. And then he'd walk like 3 guys in a row and then he would get pulled. It was like, what the hell's going on? And I finally talked to him about it. He's like, yeah, basically after like 20 pitches, my hand goes numb. I'm
Whoa. Oh
like
my god.
that's not good. He said, yeah, we just can't figure out what's going on. So he finally went on the IL, went down to Florida, rehabbed, came back, and I talked to him about his rehab process when he got back, and he was just very inspiring. That he's been through a ton of injuries, obviously, and just the career arc of being top 100 prospect to traded by the Rangers to the Phillies, making a major league debut, getting DFA'd, and then going through waivers unclaimed. Like that's kind of hitting rock bottom as a player. And just talking to him about his journey and all that, everybody sees Hans as a very aloof, kooky kind of guy, but then once you get to know him and realize what's taking inside his head, it's very thoughtful. It's very, just overall, just a human being. And I hope that more people understand that, because oftentimes we just view the athletes as athletes, but there's just so much going on under there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, you look sometimes in the off season at, like, I'll, be on MLB trade rumors, for example, and you'll just see a guy get picked up by one team, and then the next day get picked up by another team, and then you just don't really think about it. But I mean, these are people that are getting moved to 7 teams in one off season.
We had a guy like that this year on the Iron Pigs, Cal Stevenson. Phillies claimed him. So Phillies claimed him in late May. Already to start that year, he started in AAA for Oakland, got called up by Oakland, got DFA'd by Oakland, claimed by the Giants, played like 3 games for San Francisco, sent back down to the minors, then DFA'd, claimed by the Phillies, and then DFA'd again 3 days later, and then went and cleared waivers, all in about a month span. And I found out after the fact that his wife was pregnant the entire time.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, yeah, that was probably like one of the worst experiences of my life. I'm like, man. The other part of it was he'd been playing terrible. And then finally, after his first 3 weeks with us, he started playing phenomenally again. And I asked him, like, that's got to be because you're just comfortable again. He said, yeah, 100%. He's like, you go through that, month-long period where you're just questioning everything that's going on. And one thing he said about it was, yeah, it was really hard being away from my family and all that. But the other part of it is you feel like you can't get comfortable again in a clubhouse because you don't know if 5 days later if you're just going to be gone. So you're not opening yourself up to the relationships with the guys in the clubhouse. But he said, finally, I was like, okay, I'm going to be here. And he bought into the clubhouse and things went great from there.
Wow. That's crazy. I gotta ask, as a Phillies fan and somebody who peruses their prospects all the time, who are some people you got to see up and close this year that maybe not a lot of people have heard about, but you think are just on the precipice of could make that jump?
So some guys who I think will probably have an impact sometime in the next year for the Phils. Rafael Marchand, he's been up for the Phils before, but the thing for him is next year, I believe, is the last year he has options left to go back down to the minors. So the Phillies are probably going to want to use those while they still can. And he came back from broken hamate bone and just looked really good behind the plate. And I'm more leery on asking JT to catch 120 times a year than others, just from the standpoint of he's done it for so many years that, it's got to be wearing him down. Let's give him a breather. I think Simone Muzziotti finally played 100+ games and was really good for most of them before wearing down towards the end of the season. Obviously, the Phillies have a glut of outfielders, so I think he might be a little bit of trade bait potentially there. And then the Phillies got a couple of interesting arms in the bullpen, just some guys who I think, maybe could have an impact if they want to add some more arms to that kind of bullpen churn, calling guys up and down. Tyler McKay is one of them. Throws from a 3/4 arm slot, got a big sweepy slider, fastball, insane 2-seam run that'll sit 93 to 95. And on top of that, one guy everybody has forgotten about, but threw really well for the Iron Pigs down the stretch was actually Nick Nelson. Finally stretched out as a starter. Went through a couple of hamstring strains this year, but by the end of the year was looking pretty good. Started the final game or pitched in the final game of the year for the Phils. And I think, the Phillies have gotten so part of it is luck, part of it is skill, as far as their starting rotation has been so healthy the past couple of years. that you get 3 or 4 guys making 30 plus starts, but you can't expect that every year. So to have that extra depth and guys like Nick Nelson, Michael Plasmeyer is always key.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome to hear, though. Especially Nick Nelson is a guy we've seen a lot, over the last 2 years, and at times looked great. Was a guy you could just pencil in, get 4 or 5 innings from him of solid ball. Somebody like a Christopher Sanchez turned into this
Yeah.
year. They just keep finding somebody who can just get them a start, get some innings. Whatever that role is. So that's really cool to hear. Especially guys like Muziati we've seen, and it's cool that those guys are right there playing well at the at that level of just getting the reps in, which is so important, because when you're just getting shuffled back and forth, I mean, like we've been talking about, that's so hard to just stay in that mode. And even a guy like Jay Cave just coming off the bench and ripping a shot into the gap. I mean, he was maybe a step too short of being safe at third, but I mean, the guy's ice in his veins. There's been plenty of times this year, and I'm sure you saw it even more at the AAA level, where you just come up and you're like, dang, what is this guy doing? Like, what? He just seems to know the pitch right before it's coming, and he just puts the bat on the ball.
That's one thing that's been so impressive from the Phillies organizational philosophy, is that they have done a phenomenal job at stockpiling, not necessarily like top end talent at the AAA level, but necessary talent in depth that they know that they'll be able to control. I mean, it's wild to say, but where would the Phillies be this year without the combined efforts of Cody Clemens and Jake Cave being able to fill in at first base and the outfield where necessary? A lot of times it's not like Jake or Cody put together maybe a half win above replacement type of thing, but getting just replacement level talent period sometimes can be really hard. So the fact that they have it in kind of abundance in Cody Clemens and Jake Cave, Derek Hall, Weston Wilson, Muziati, Marshawn, and then the bullpen guys as well. That's hard to do and hard to make sure that you have that, especially after going through a trade this offseason where they dealt a lot of that depth for Gregory Soto. But they knew that they would, search through the scrap heap. They got Cave on waivers. They got Weston through minor league free agency, and they knew they'd be able to put it together.
Yeah, and one thing that really stood out to me this year too, of the guys we were saying called up and just getting actual value from them, whether or not it's just a hit in a game that they won in July that seemed meaningless at the time, but it really reminds me of like that 2018 where you just had guys just, all right, we're putting Greg Dobbs in, he's going to get a big hit for us. So we're putting Eric Bruntlund in, and he's just going to finish out the game for us, defensive replacement type deal. And there's like shades of that team that I see now, and it's like, it's really awesome because of how many years they were just in the dumps of just garbage rosters. People it wasn't even worth watching the game for. And now it's like, who's the next guy? Who's going to be that guy who gets the pinch hit, or who's going to be the guy that's just in there that 10 years from now, you're going to look back and remember on. And I feel like all these guys that we've talked about are in that class right now of just, hey, let's do this. I know I'm talking up a big game, and hopefully this takes us to the promised land, but it's so eerie in a way, just have those feelings again when you haven't had them in such a long time.
And I think the big thing is, I was talking to some of our other front office members today about it, is that so much of it, I think, comes back to the fact that Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, that they're the kind of people who aren't acting like, they're the big superstars who are on these large deals. They're just another guy in the clubhouse. And they're very approachable. They make people feel welcome into the clubhouse. I mean, I'm sure you saw it, but Orion Kerkering in the celebration after the Braves series is wearing an Attaboy Harper t-shirt. How often do you have a rookie who's literally been there 2 weeks, comfortable enough to feel like he's a part of the bit, that he can feel like he can show his character and his comedy and feel like he's a part of it, even though he's been there for literally 14 days. And that's what every guy who has gone up and down has said about it, is that you feel like you're a part of it. And it's not, them putting on a charade. They genuinely want to get the best out of you because they just want to win. And they know that if they make you feel comfortable and they make you feel like you're a part of this too, everybody buys it.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of just to touch on that, because obviously there were a lot of new rules this year in baseball. And so, like, obviously the reliever one, I think that's a few years old, but having to pitch to 3 batters, right? And then the big one in the National League, there's the DH now. Mm-hmm. So in the playoffs, like 2008, I remember like Greg Dobbs, Matt Stairs. Matt Stairs hit the huge home run that year in the postseason. You don't necessarily get to maybe see as many relievers or as many pinch hits and stuff. Is that just one thing like some of these players, that are just accustomed to, they might not get a call most games now if you're towards the bottom, whereas Jake Cave would probably pinch hit every game if it was the old rules. So I just didn't know your take if the players talk about that at all. They might just be sitting on the bench the whole game. Or
so most players actually do like having the DH, because wildly enough, most guys hate pinch hitting because they know that they're set up for failure. And there's a really funny story from this year where Weston Wilson basically played every single day for us. Dude would barely ever have a day off. He finally had the first one he has is Mother's Day in May. And we play 8 innings. We're down 2 runs. Somebody gets hurt and Weston has to go into the game. And I talked to him after. He's like, I was so hoping just to get a full day off, just like kick back and relax and, just finally rest my feet. And, pinch hitting coming off the bench, it's not easy. It's not fun. But then in the 9th, he, gets his first AB and hits a game-tying 2-run homer. So it's just like, they say that they hate it, but who knows if they actually do. It's just very hard. And for the most part, I think the new rules are genuinely well liked by most of the players. They seem to enjoy it. They like the pace of play. They like the universal DH for the most part, just because, most of them don't really think along with the manager. So just kind of knowing that your role or, job for that day is going to be pretty static. Most players behave well in that kind of scenario. And then more guys are, stealing bases and figuring out how to steal bases, and they enjoy that too.
True. Well, of the new rules, have you experienced the robo-umps at all at any of the levels you've done? And what would you say is like the reaction from some of the players? Because we've bandied about it a little bit and have assumed it's maybe good for the batters, maybe it's good for the pitchers, but really haven't locked it down on whether or not it's an advantage or disadvantage. But what's your experience with it?
Yeah, so we had the robo-umps basically the entire year. The way it worked for us is Tuesday through Thursday is fully automated robotic umpires. So that's just umpire has an earpiece in, he hears ball or strike, calls it. That's that. Friday through Sunday is the challenge system. Each team gets 3 challenges. Umpire calls balls and strikes just as normal. But if a player, either hitter or pitcher or catcher, wants to challenge, they tell the umpire, hey, I want to challenge. And then basically, I don't know if you guys watch tennis at all. It looks just like if you challenge a ball down the baseline in tennis, that goes up on the video board. The strike zone does, and you see whether or not the pitch hit it. If you win the challenge, you retain it. If you lose it, that challenge is gone. Overall, most players prefer the challenge system, just because it feels like most players, as well as most fans overall, just want to get rid of the egregiously missed pitches. We don't need the ones that are the ticky-tacky, 50-50 to try to litigate. That's not what we're really looking to do with this. And that's where the automated strike zone was kind of very hit or miss with most guys. It's just very hard for it to match up precisely with what your mind's eye tells you a strike looks like. So that was a challenge. Overall, I think it worked pretty well. And I don't know if it's ready for a major league rollout at this point, nor do I think that they're looking within the next year to put it out. I think it's a little bit more long-term project. But it was certainly an experience, and guys the way I look at it is guys are going to complain either way. They're going to be complaining about the home plate umpire and the human, or they're going to be moaning about the fact that the ABS strike zone, it doesn't seem right. So I don't know. I feel like we're just asking the wrong question of just who would we rather be mad at?
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. Because it's like you can especially see it too with some of the younger guys, the younger batters, especially that make it to the majors. I mean, I remember last year Julio Rodriguez was just getting called out like crazy on strikes, but they were just in a box. Like you could literally put it up and just show where the pitches were. And it was like, man, he has such an insane idea of like where the strike zone should be, but he was getting penalized for it in a way because he
So
just wasn't swinging.
when I asked Weston when he came back down from the majors, because when he went up, he ended up walking like 5 times in like a 3-game span. And I'm like, what the hell is up with that? He said, honestly, the ABS strike zone down here in the minors prepared me really well to know where the strike zone is. And he said it just happened to work out that way that now I feel like I have a really good command of the strike zone, that you're not guessing where it is, that you know where it is. And even if major league umpires, it's going to be slightly different than what the robotic strike zone is, going to be pretty darn similar though. So he felt like that was a huge advantage and that he, had a really keen understanding of what the zone was supposed to be, is something that he said in years past he just wasn't as confident in.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about like hitters, like I did see that about Weston too. I think I read that in an article somewhere. And then a few weeks ago we had Corey Lewis and Knuckleballer on the Twins on, and he talked about it too. But I don't know, have you talked to any catchers? Because we always talk about the art of framing, right? And how that could go away if robot umps became a thing. Has any catcher takes on this?
Rafael Marchand hates it. That was really funny when we asked him about it. Yeah, he doesn't like it. And Marchand's also a very good defensive catcher. So he's gotten that going for him. The other part of it is, even though it takes away a layer of gamesmanship and framing, it actually adds another one in a catcher's ability to challenge. Because I found that there was pretty disparate ends of whether or not a catcher was good at picking pitches to challenge, because it's a little bit of an art, because you only have 3 of them. And, it's okay, a 3-0 pitch to the cleanup hitter maybe got the outside corner, but it was called a ball. Is it actually worth challenging? 3-1 on the cleanup dude, and say it's Bryce Harper at the plate. Do you really want to throw him a 3-1 fastball anyways?
Yeah.
So, you just can the challenge and save it for a later date. And some guys just wouldn't understand that, or there were just some catchers actually have a very bad feel for where the strike zone is, and they would challenge pitches, and it's not even close.
Was that up to the players' like discretion as far as when they can use them, or was there any direction with like the manager?
So that is a key rule. The challenge has to be used within 2 seconds of the pitch coming.
Okay.
No feedback from the dugout. Okay. And there were times when somebody would yell something from the dugout and the umpire heard it, and a player would try to challenge, and the umpire would say no.
Okay.
Or if they took too long, umpire would say no. Window is closed.
Okay. So you just get 3 total a game, pitcher, catcher, hitter, anyone can quickly call challenge. Yeah, unless you get it right.
Yeah, 3 per team. You retain the challenge if you win it.
That I like that, because I mean, we don't like the robot umps, but that we didn't really dive into how the challenge system worked. That's cool. Yeah. And I like that you can't, like, because in baseball, the guy, when they're gonna challenge, your pitching coach or whatever, is on the phone for 20 minutes, and you're like, well, they're gonna know the call at this point. But I like the fact, a little bit of like, you gotta like kind of go with your gut. Like JT would probably be great at it, I think, but you have to do it on the spot.
We had some catchers who were really good at it, some who weren't so good. And just overall, it was definitely what most players would say was, if you told us we have to do the robo umpires, we prefer the challenge system. That would be the better way for us to go about it. And I'm interested to see whether or not it ever takes hold. And the only issue I'll say with it is that you do sometimes end up with kind of a timeouts in basketball issue, where if you got 3 challenges remaining in the 9th inning and you're down a run or 2, you just start throwing them out because you can't take them home.
Yeah.
And we experienced some times like that. It got really annoying.
How long? I mean, was it typically long to review it? Are they varied?
No, it's maybe a good challenge, a good rhythm of a challenge, 10 seconds.
Okay, so that's not bad.
It just kind of messes with the flow. Yeah. Is the best way of putting it. And why I don't know if anybody else is like this, but for me, sometimes a wildly minor inconvenience, which isn't actually going to take that much time, but keeps on happening, will annoy me more than the annoyance that I know is going to take 3 minutes. But I know that as soon as the 3 minutes is done, that's it. We're not doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible way to look at it, but
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Well, as we kind of wrap up here, Sam, I got to ask you. I feel like I should know, but I don't. Favorite player of all time. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. I mean, or you can go favorite Philly. But I want to ask you who that would be.
genuinely favorite player would probably honestly for me have to be Cole Hamels.
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
loved watching Cole pitch and seeing him deal, change up, just the kind of silent swagger, the '08 World Series MVP. He was like the first time I was like, that guy is awesome. My first ever favorite player was Jim Thome. But,
Good.
yeah, yeah. But Cole was kind of like the one that I was like, man, he's different. And yeah, I'd probably have to say and honestly, it feels terrible trying to pick anybody from that '08 team because to me they're all one and the same. It's Rollins, Utley, Howard, Hamels, it's Chooch, it's Jason Worth, Victorino, Pat Burrell. They're all. I could watch them all every day, and sometimes so.
Okay, I appreciate. Yeah. Good to know. Good to know.
Chase, did you have anything else on your side?
Yeah, I have one last question. You've got to travel around a lot, I'm sure, and got to go to some cool places. What's one of the most what's a place that really stuck with you that you thought when you got the ticket, you're like, this could go one of two ways. But what was a place that you just ended up having to go to for an event that really stuck with you?
That's a good one. I'm trying to think of one of the really small places on the road that I ended up going that turned into a favorite of mine.
We finally got them.
Yeah, that's one I haven't thought about all too much. I mean, throughout my travels in the Carolina League, Salem, Virginia isn't a bad spot. I kind of liked it there. That was interesting. Out in the Midwest, going to St. Louis was fun. We were like in suburbs of St. Louis, so that was really cool in a very small incorporated town called Sauget, Illinois. So that was always interesting. We went up that same year to Traverse City, Michigan, which is actually really beautiful, right on Lake Michigan. So that was really awesome. Trying to think. The best trip that we did when I was in the Carolina League was a 2-weeker to Charleston, Myrtle Beach. So that was one that was just like that was just enjoyable. That was
yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of some random places that my baseball travels have taken me. I've been weirdly fortunate that hasn't taken me to like any like supremely crazy places, I guess.
Yeah.
At least yet.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, and before we wrap up here, Sam, I don't know if you're interested in maybe doing a quick immaculate grid with us. I don't know if you do that.
Come on. I haven't done today's yet. So
you haven't done? Okay. We haven't done it either. So that's why I'm asking. Are you ready? You down to do it?
Sure. Let's roll.
Okay. All right. I'm going to share the screen with you. And we're going to just do it. We like to do it kind of on the podcast sometimes. Just see. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Can you see? All right, here we go.
Yep. Oh, I even got
of course the Phillies are in it. Oh my goodness.
Okay, Phillies, Brewers, Hobie Milner.
Oh, tremendous. What do you think the percent is on that?
Like 0.6. I don't believe that.
Dang.
Oh my gosh.
That's a early pull.
Well, I'm going to use a relief pitcher that I always love to use down here. I'm going to go with Troy Hawkins.
Okay.
He was with the.
I don't think he ever pitched for the Pirates.
Oh, it was the Angels. Oh my gosh, I think it was right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'll redo it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's on me.
We'll just skip a Hall of Famer. Those are easy anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phillies, Red Sox, Daniel Nava.
That's a
Oh, great one.
I thought that would have came right up. All right.
There he is.
Dang.
Yep, .4.
Dang. Oh my gosh.
The
Gotta love
fun
it.
part about Immaculate Grid this season was it's obviously it took hold during once our year was underway. It was the talk of the clubhouses, which is
Okay.
really fun and awesome because obviously at AAA you got a ton of guys who have been everywhere. So
Oh,
they would
yeah.
all try to use each other, and I would
Well,
try to
that's
use
pretty
a bunch
fun.
of them in the grids. I used a bunch of our coaching staff. Our one coach, Pat Listash, was really awesome in helping me. So that was fun.
Dang. That's pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, the Hall of Fames are easy, so we can try to go.
We can skip a Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Dang, I'm upset that I missed. I knew he was there, and I went wrong too.
We always say that we're a lot worse on the podcast than we are.
Oh yeah. Pirates, Brewers. Wasn't their third base? Didn't they have a third baseman play for both?
Aramis Ramirez.
Yeah. So
Yeah. That's a good one. There you go.
Bang. Love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see.
These Red Sox are stumping us.
Did Victorino ever play for the Angels?
Ooh.
I don't know. Play for the
Because-
Dodgers, right?
Yeah, I know he played for the Dodgers, the Sox. I feel like there is a really random Angels like 20 game.
You wanna do it?
Yeah.
We already
I
got
don't know.
Hey, so who were you thinking? Did you have someone?
For Angels, Red
Red
Sox.
Sox or no?
No.
Should we?
Blake Swihart never played for the Angels too, right? Probably not.
I don't
Or
think so.
Cespedes was never an Angel, right?
no. I was thinking like John J. So, but I don't think he ever played for the Red Sox.
No.
We can go Victorino. See, you want to give it a try?
I feel like it's wrong, and I'll feel bad if it's wrong.
I already got one wrong, Sam.
Yeah,
so.
there's no shame.
Yeah. You
Ben
should see
Burkett.
some of the bricks we put up.
Oh, you did!
Oh,
Let's go!
go!
the flying Hawaiian made it on there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at this rarity score though.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. This might be our lowest scores at
I'm about to quit out and go back.
Whoa.
Oh,
Angels Pirates. Wasn't Mark Melanson a Red Sox and Pirate? Or somebody, didn't they have one of
I know
those
he's
two
on the-
closers?
I know he's on the Pirates.
probably plugging Octavio Dotel for a few. Of
Oh,
I know, yeah.
Rich Hill,
Oh, Rich Hill, yeah.
Yeah.
Dick Mountain.
oh my gosh!
Love it.
All right, you guys pick your Phillies Hall of Fame.
I'll leave it to you, Sam.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how obscure do I want to go here.
Sometimes we go too obscure and then we miss.
I know that's the problem.
Phillies, you can go some old guys too.
Yeah. Oh, is Delahanty? Was that
Yeah,
Delahanty?
Oh my gosh.
Ed Delahanty, that's a good one.
Yeah, do you want to? We can do it.
No, you can choose, Sam. You can choose.
Yeah.
I was going to say either him or Billy Hamilton.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
Which sure
one?
Billy's in the hall.
I like Billy.
Not the 2013.
Yeah, not the-
yeah. No, the 1888.
1888.
Yeah.
Is that his grandpa?
Look at that
Look at that
picture.
man.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
That's an 1800s
Uh,
pool, Sam.
That
Dang.
guy never experienced electricity. Wild.
Oh,
That's insane.
It's a good point. Also, easily our oldest player that's ever been put on a grid for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's a strictly 1800s player. That's wild.
Yeah.
Dang.
I think it's at 1901.
Oh, did?
I think so.
Okay, he peaked.
Yeah.
You got a
Crack
year.
that century mark.
Yeah.
He still fought in the Civil War, but you know.
He kind of looks like George Costanza from Seinfeld.
He actually kind of does.
he could play him in the Billy Hamilton biopic.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, one more. Pick your team here, Hall of Fame.
I mean, Pirates. You could go Paul Wainer.
Oh,
All right,
right.
let's do it.
Let's plug him in.
All right. Dang.
wow, Sam. You know, you
Wow,
have to
dude.
go back there.
130.
Dang, dude, you crushed that board.
Yeah, this was first off, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I already want to just say before we even get off, I want to have you on again. This was a lot of fun, and the knowledge that you just bring into the majors and then down is awesome. Something I never got to listen to.
I try my best.
Yeah.
It's fun for me. That's that's why I do it, is because it is it's something I'm passionate about, but also it's so cool, it's so fun. So
yeah, we really appreciate you having you on, Sam. Knowing you for as long as I have, you're great at what you do, and I am rooting for nothing but the utmost success for you and in the future with the Phillies organization or whatever organization, whatever you decide,
whatever it takes,
to do. So, hopefully we'll hit up the links here soon also.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. It was a blast.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate it.
Thank
Sam.
you. Thank you.